Hey y'all. Um, I think today's reading is dedicated to the full moon in Capricorn tonight. This also goes out to the Delta team, my Delta dance partners, and the Jinkies Delta group. I'm grateful to have 6 beautiful, deep women to learn and dance and share with. And I hope that something from this is valuable to you, helps you through this week as we dance. So I'll start with an archetype like normal. Ever present. If you've listened to anything last week, I've just been talking about the Queen near constantly, but because she's out again, I will read, and as you can kind of see, it's really cool. It's kind of got this full super moon vibe to it, which seems timely and relevant. The Queen. The Empress, the Mother Queen, the Sovereign. Like her counterpart the King, the Queen has a dualistic nature. Either she presides over the realm with grace and eloquence that comes from the heavens to uplift the spirit of others, or she falls into petty, contemptuous moods, casting a shadow across the land. If the King is the ego, the Queen is the expression of the ego in the world. She is the lotus's bloom, the dancer's bow, the moon's radiant reflection. When the Queen is seated on her rightful and righteous place, she is patient and forgiving. She waits for the grace of God, and God is to move through her, striving and grasping for nothing. To be the benevolent leader, to embody the Queen, is to settle into deep trust, resolve, and power. The royal Queen fears nothing, for divinity itself cradles her heart. When light, the embodiment of grace, courage, resolve, stillness. When dark, vain, wrathful, self-righteous, demanding. The Queen does not accept the hand of a prince, but claims the throne, knowing the King draws near. She is a magnet for the fully embodied masculine and entertains nothing less. We've been talking about the Queen really being also an embodiment of the divine feminine. This powerful force that is able to relax and trust and be patient with life without compromising or losing a sense of power and authority. It's not about going out and getting something or making something happen, although those may be true for the Queen. It's really about knowing a sense of worth, trusting in oneself, and being attractive, magnetic, and allowing what is for you to come to you. And I imagine that comes in both the material world, but also comes in all kinds of ways. It could be thoughts, it could be ideas, it could be relationships, it could be systems or sounds or a scent or a smell, but just the thing that your body or being needs in its process of becoming. And trusting in that moment to moment to moment to moment. So, as we're coming into relationship with the moon, we have the Four of Cups, and Four of Cups is a reminder to have a practice of gratitude. Grateful for all the fundamental and foundational aspects of ourselves and the world around us. Being and showing gratitude to those that we're in relationship with. Being grateful for the current state of our environments, And I think even in times where things seem like they are not as we would want them to be, stepping into our queendom, having that deep trust, having that deep patience, and being gracious or righteous or empowered through our ability to genuinely appreciate all that is here and all that is around us. And also all the things that are coming to us that we know so deeply within ourselves, even if we can't see them just yet. I see two phases of the moon here. The full moon tonight, and then like the waxing or waning moon, which may speak to the past. So what has happened since the moon was that shape that we can be grateful for? How have we grown? How have we learned? How have we manifested and attracted things into our life that have been for us and are serving us? But also looking ahead for what we intend, and allowing that to be part of the ritual or ceremony for tonight. Also the Mother of Swords. And so there's also this feeling of, standing in our sense of deep trust and resolve and patience and authority and empowered in our empress and knowing what we need to nurture ourselves, being grateful for all that has been and all that we have attracted, being grateful for all that we know is coming, and having that be the foundation or in relationship to the mental clarity, the focus, the sharpness, the ability to intellectualize across different domains of intellect. And to make choice and decisions in clear and concise ways. I like how in that guidebook it says that, the queen is not interested in the prince. Well, she may have many suitors or people who are courting her, right? But that Mother of Swords energy goes, wow, I'm so grateful that you've showed up. And it's a no. And it's great that you're here because now I know that this is a no. Or now I know this is a yes, right? But there's this ability to take each moment and each experience as a lesson, not something to sway us or to take away from our resolve, but actually an opportunity to continue to have this feminine mental clarity that allows us to move with wisdom. Taste. To know what is for us and what isn't for us, and how we would like to receive it. Doing this all seated on our throne. The moon. So I kind of feel this movement from the Queen of Swords energy, which is like our Mother of Swords, which is that intellectualism, that mental clarity, to the moon, which is that same type of knowing, but through the intuition. So not everything that is for us is coming to us or that we know is rational or logical. Sometimes it is irrational and illogical, and yet we know it to be true. Sometimes things move in non-linear fashions, and so doing something like cleaning up your room can help the idea that you're working on come to more clarity. Taking a bath can relax you enough to be able to figure out the problem that you've been wrestling with. It's not just about problems and creativity necessarily, and yet those things are coming out of my mouth, so what, they're alive. But it's also the intuitive knowing of the non-linear relationship to what I'm feeling is past and future. Intellectual knowing and appreciation for all that is and here has been and is coming, and feeling the space between those two spaces, between intellectual, factual, rational mind, reflection and understanding and gratitude for the past and all things that are coming, and the intuitive link between those things. I feel this empowered heart. It feels righteous because in its ability to speak to what it intuitively knows, it can do it from a place of mental clarity and do it from a place of deep appreciation for everything that's coming up. And that is what is the power. And these things will wax, and these things will wane, and they will change with nature. And that's even more beautiful, because none of this is fixed. It's alive, and it's moving, and it's flowing, and yet there's still the capacity to be precise and to the point. That quality or characteristic isn't lost. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Daughter of Swords in reverse. And so for me, this is really just speaking to the fact that with the Mother of Swords here, and the Moon, and the Four of Cups, and the Queen, it just feels like maybe there is some immaturity about how we were thinking about things. This could be that queen who, out of fear or out of a need for power or out of a sense of not having power, can make choices or decisions that don't appreciate what is here. It actually could be potentially destructive. It's not quite destructive as much as it is taking away one's own power by not recognizing what it means to be empowered. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool in reverse, which to me is like, this isn't the beginning. This isn't the start of a journey. This isn't a newness. If you're having that like rookie mindset, if you're thinking that this is all the start, it's like, no, this is not the beginning. This is actually a moment that is guided and supported by higher level forces like the Moon, like the archetype of the Queen. And this is a moment where you have matured to a place where you have a clear mind, you know how to trust your intuition, and you know how to be in your power. And all this is deeply individual. So far nothing has come up that's been fully about relationship. There's not like an other that's here yet. This is really about you, me, we standing in our intuitive and intellectual power, meeting the present moments and meeting the moments of our life with clarity, and allowing that to be how we discern what is for us and what isn't for us as we move forward. Not as novices, but as adepts, as advanced practitioners. And this is going to be really helpful right now because we're at a crossroads. Tarantula speaks about a life path, and it's a very fiery energy. So this isn't, there's a weightiness. There's an ability to know one's own power enough to not have to act out of fear or concern or pressure, but waiting for that right and precise moment to act. And that comes from that intuition, that comes from that mental clarity, but this is also comes through, again, like this evolution, this ability, and these years, for a tarantula, thousands of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. But within our own personal lives, it really speaks about our own skillfulness in hunting and catching what life brings to us, and doing it from a place of, again, empowered, I think, healthy predation. Killing what we need to survive. And not out of fear, but out of our relationship to the cycles of nature. And we can rest in that. Alligator is the exact same type of hunter. Sits back, waits, doesn't waste any energy, and catches its prey. While the tarantula speaks about a life purpose, the crocodile talks about allowing ourselves during this time where the moon is moving so much within us and around us to relax in the ways that are true for us. To reserve that energy to be fed by life, knowing that we are apex. And this is supported and really bridged by the energy of the gazelle. And the gazelle talks about grace. So I think about grace as a force that comes down to us. This is life bringing us what we need. But also grace being how we can move through life light-footed. We can dance and we can prance and we can move. And this also is our skill set. The things don't have to be super heavy and super dense. Waiting and resting don't always mean laying in bed or shutting down. We can move and we can graze through life and enjoy all that is there for us with the sun behind our back. Right? The heat of the sun not consuming us but pushing us forward, and do it gracefully, and just being conscious too. I kind of feel this of our fears. So in the waiting and in the resting, we may fear that what is for us won't come to us, or our vigilance and our ability to be present may become hypervigilance. And so during this time, having spaces and things that bring us comfort and bring us joy and bring us into states of peace and relaxation are really important, because we're so close. Top of the deck is the unicorn. And so again, with the giant moon behind it, this is just thematic, right? But for me, the unicorn is about it just speaks about what we see. We're waiting, we're resting, we're putting ourselves in environments that support us and allow us to be vigilant and present, but also to feel safe and secure. We're allowing our intuition and the clarity of our intellect to allow us to appreciate all that is around us and all that's going on as we sit on our throne and call in through life what is for us and what we're looking for, while taking nothing less, allowing ourselves to be this mystical, magical being that we are, not needing validation of whether or not we're real or not, what we believe is real or true, because there's an inner knowing, even if we can't see it yet, that we know is real. And there's this confirmation that if we trust ourselves and set ourselves up for success right now, not even through action out in the world, but through action within ourselves, we can have it, and we'll realize exactly what and who we are. The nightingale on the bottom just speaks about how ordinary this may all seem. It can sound magical and mystical in the animals and the tarot, but this may be truly ordinary, and yet what is here and what will be sung out and what will come through this experience. Again, resting on top of the moon and yet singing out into the heavens is extraordinary song. I'll pick 2 more cards. Call it a day. So we have sorrow in reverse. And in this deck, sorrow talks about the pain of like our spirit, our essence coming into form. The wounding or the pain that it is of being a spiritual being having a physical experience. It's not fully true, but there's something that is about that movement from higher order, higher bodies into a very dense matter. But that pain isn't here right now. And if it is here, it's going to go away. The sorrow, the 3 of Swords in reverse, is that there is the opportunity for joy of this bridging of our spirit and our higher order principles and its movement down into matter, into physical form. Again, what we know is possible, what we see that may not feel real, but we know to be true, the thing that we're waiting for, the thing that we intellectually have comprehended and intuitively are feeling is coming. And that time for sorrow is passing. if not over. And the time for pleasure is here. 6 of Cups. And there's a sense in me to say that be aware of pleasure, because don't lose track of the waiting, and don't lose track of your seat in the throne, and don't lose track of your surroundings and your environment and your vigilance and your intuition and your sharp intellect, because the pleasure is there. This isn't the thing, but this is the experience that comes from doing the thing. It's not quite true, but it's like the 6 of Cups is a really beautiful, emotional, fulfilling, physical rush, and it should be treasured. But don't allow it to be all-consuming. Be in the waiting. Be vigilant in it. Be aware. See how your environment, your inner and outer states change and shift based on its presence, and allow yourself to truly enjoy it. Don't be afraid here, but also don't lose yourself in it. Because this is the creation, the newness, the thing that is for you to bring into the world is here. And this is just a byproduct. This divine union, this coming into a sense of more wholeness, the integration of different aspects of your being. Maybe it's literally your being in your body. The ability to know sorrow and yet to feel pleasure. The ability to wait and to be aware and to be at rest, and yet to not lose track of one's own power. I imagine this is deeply individual for everyone, and what I'm really sensing is like, you know. And if you don't know, listen. Listen to your intuition. Look at the signs around you and be really aware of what is in your immediate environment. What's outside of you will deeply reflect and give honor to this inner process that's happening. When I see the Lovers here, I really feel that it's because everything in this reading is so deeply personal. To me, this feels like the union is in and of ourselves. And that may definitely be reflected into our outside world, into our relationships, into our work, into other arenas of our life. But this is really a moment where something, and maybe even someone within us, comes together and we become more whole. Okay, now one more card. This is from the Wisdom Keeper's Oracle. It tells a little story, and I think it always just helps to give a narrative to what's happening. These are the cards that are already on the deck, but it's always how it goes. The card is Perseverance. This is the 38th gene key. This is the shadow of struggle. So the challenging aspect, the thing that we're looking to integrate. That moves to the city, the highest awakened state of honor through the gift, the strength, or the process of perseverance. Over time, through perseverance, love, and trust, you will eventually attain victory and experience your own divinity. My older brother died when I was just a child. My mother went into a deep depression. As a boy of action, I fought with all of my might to pull her out of her grief, but her pain consumed her until she ended her own life. Her act of utter defeat was unthinkable in our land. I heard people talking, and it made me so angry my whole body shook. Not knowing what to do with the overwhelming tension I felt, I started fighting wherever and whenever I could feel my impact. I loved the feeling of exerting my body. Fighting and winning gave me a sense of purpose and power. But sometimes I took my aggression out on helpless animals and my younger siblings. I became addicted to the struggle and rarely knew when to stop. As I grew older, I became a powerful warrior, with a gift for inspiring others to act. But my personal feelings often clouded my judgment. Once I led a whole army to war because someone from another village insulted my mother's honor. Many people were injured, even killed, at my insistence. Just before we launched another attack, a young boy from the warring village, the same age as my older brother when he died, ran up to me and flung his arms around my waist out of pure desperation. He pleaded with me to end the feud, crying, "Why are we fighting? I don't understand." As his question penetrated my deaf ears and hardened heart, I woke up. I started breathing again. I hadn't even realized just how tight my chest had been for years. He was right. I knew in that moment that if my mother were alive, she would never want me to kill innocent people to defend her honor. There was already more than enough suffering and struggle in our village. And there I was, her son, fighting for everything that didn't matter. I wasn't honoring anyone. That's when I realized that deep down, I come to believe that if I had nothing to fight, I'd disappear, just like my mother did. Just like my brother. Everything changed after that. I took that sweet boy under my wings, and now we only fight for causes that are worth fighting for. Those that are for the good of all people and the earth. My gift to you. I'm here to call out the sacred warrior in you. It's time to persevere, to be the heroic underdog. Do not give up the struggle. Just be sure that you're fighting the right fight. Obstacles are a natural part of life. They are here to test your commitment, hone your abilities, increase your aliveness, and unleash your life purpose. It is time to embrace your defeats. Let them make you stronger, more resilient, and supple. You have the potential to turn a battle into a dance, to empower the people you love to liberate themselves from victimization. When you fight for love, not fear, everyone wins. There is no need to overthink or worry about appearing foolish. Now go find a cause you can pour your whole heart, body, and soul into. May we honor ourselves, the queen in and of all of us, as we gratefully recognize all the things that are here to support us, and all the things that are coming to us, and that have taught us and that are teaching us how to make choice and decision from a place of clarity and intuitive knowing that comes through a perseverance, through the struggles of life that have allowed us to evolve into the creatures, to the beings that we uniquely are. May our song sing out as the full moon rises.